How do you maintain friendships, relationships? I think relationships, they can be very complicated, especially when you first meet someone. I'm at a point where I have like enough experience where when I first meet someone, I can already tell gonna get along and if we could date or not. And if we could date long term or not. All of those things are different. Like you can have fun with someone, right? There are fun people to vibe with. And then there are people serious. You can consider this person seriously. So ideally, you want someone who's able to be here and also here, depending on the situation and time and preference. But most people is either just this or either just this, or like mostly one and a bit of the other. You have to actively put effort in to be able to be both of these sides. This, right, the serious part means you need to be introspective. To be able to have deep conversation with others, it's like a prerequisite. You need to be introspective. Otherwise, you have nothing to offer to the conversation, right? So imagine you're having conversations with someone. They're asking you, what are your thoughts on XYZ? If you have not previously introspected and thought about these questions, you actually cannot answer them. And ideally, you want to date someone who is able to introspect, right? If you're dating long term, you want to date someone who's able to introspect. Whereas the fun category, you could say is more a short-term thing, but I would argue this is also equally as important in a long-term relationship. Because if someone is just always like serious, always like talking about deep shit, always introspective, it also gets like very heavy and it's a little bit boring sometimes, right? You want someone who's able to also have fun. They can talk about dumb shit, very silly jokes, mannerisms, or physical things they're doing, or they're showing something or saying something that's very silly or fun, right? That doesn't have to be purely rational. So this is like more the emotional part of it. And this is also, I would argue, essential for your partner. And most people are either very much fun or very much on this serious side. When you go through your day-to-day life, you want to try to be introspective and serious when you need to, and then fun and more emotional when you need to do this. Is this not obvious? I don't think it is obvious at all. Like, I would think it is, right? But from the people I've met, most people do not understand this. I'll give you an example. I would say a lot of like tech bros, like especially the hardcore engineers and stuff, are very much on like this side, right? Are very much on the serious side, and they lack emotionality. And a lot of more artsy people or people in the entertainment industry, they would lack the serious and more introspective. And me being someone in both sides, I can see the absolute difference between these two groups of people, where one, you go on a date with this person and an answer they would give you is literally like, you ask them, do you sometimes like introspect or think about yourself, like, right? I have received this answer, right, before, where they say, no, I don't really think about myself. I don't like to introspect. If I have like these thoughts, I just avoid them. I don't think about it. I do something to distract myself. Like, that's literally, a lot of people think like that. And probably some people in this chat right now. And that's fine. But just realize that you are missing a huge part of who you are when you refuse to introspect and avoid these questions about yourself. I tend to not review introspectiveness until someone is in the friend zone. I see what you mean, but introspection doesn't always mean like a sensitive part of you, right? It doesn't mean like a part of you that's vulnerable. For you to get closer to someone like genuinely, you have to like review things that are unique to yourself, right? Or perhaps things that are vulnerable to yourself, right? Otherwise, why would the other person do the same? And if you guys are both just like shallowly on the surface, like dilly-dallying, then it's not going to become a genuine friendship. It's not that vulnerable either when you talk about things like, what is your type of a partner? What do you want to do in life? Like, what's your career goals, right? Or what are your hobbies, right? These are things that are not extremely vulnerable, but reveal part of you, like who you are as a person. And when you ask these questions to someone else, that's how you get closer to them, right? Or you don't get closer to them because you realize, oh, this person has nothing in common with me. Like, their value system is completely different than mine. Then you can just say that saves your time. You can just go and meet someone else, do something else, because you guys are never going to get close because of this inherent like value system conflicting with each other. So I think nowadays when I meet someone, I try very hard to understand their value system directly. Like, I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of someone's value system almost on the first day I meet, because I would like directly ask questions that reveal what they're actually thinking about. You got to be like tactful about it as well. You cannot just be like, oh, what's your view on women? You know, you can't just do that. Women instead tend to land straight in the middle of your diagram. That is interesting. I would say yes. From past experience of like people I've met, that seems to be common. You don't want to be statically somewhere on this scale. Like that's not the goal. The goal is not to be in the middle or on the left or on the right. Is being able to dynamically change from the left and right and middle, right? Like depending on the situation, you want to be able to move like on the scale, like not be someone who's just statically always like one-dimensional. And dating like it's a technical interview. I mean, it sort of is, right? But you have to be tactful about it where it doesn't feel like you're just questioning someone, because that's like very bad. If you're on a date and it's just you asking questions back to back to back, that is not like a conversation. That is an actual interview, and you know you shouldn't be doing that. And a lot of it is the vibe, right? It's like the unsaid is like very loud, and not everything has to be said. Oh, techno, no, it's not. Okay, dude, I don't want you guys to get the impression where this is like a fucking OA interview. It's not like it's not supposed to feel like that at all, right? If anything, if I go on a first date with someone, they will not feel like that at all, right? Although I may be like thinking about stuff in my head, I will make sure that they feel like comfortable and they don't feel like this is like a fucking interview or anything, right? But in my head, I am trying to dig out like what is the value system of this person, you know, what does this person stand for. I have really strict criteria. I actually used to not have, like literally before a couple months ago, I would have zero standard. It would just be like vibe. Like this would be the logical conclusion, right? What is this called? Like the automaton. The vibe, yes or no, right? Yes, no, yes equals GFBF, no equals goodbye. Okay, this would be my entire fucking logical process when deciding if I want to like do actual girlfriend boyfriend, because we would just like vibe for like 2 weeks, and then the girl would be like, you know, what are we? I'd be like, oh, I guess we're girlfriend boyfriend. I would just do that before, and there's actually a lot of good that comes from it. This sounds kind of dumb, but a lot of good stuff can come from this. It's just you're leaving a lot to luck, right? Which is like not necessarily a bad thing, but it could be bad. Luckily for me, it wasn't like too bad, even though I was doing this like very random heuristic. Yeah, most of the time it was like pretty good, so I got pretty lucky. But the problem is long term this can cause issues. Dude, I thought this could change, chat. I thought I could fix people. Okay, for anyone out there you can think you can fix a partner, just save yourself the energy and time. The value system of someone is just so hard to change. You cannot change their value system, and so I would say it's not worth it to try. And if the value system is not compatible, then it's just a no directly, like off the bat, because long term this will cause you issues that are just unbelievably a headache because they cannot be solved, because fundamentally you guys are incompatible. Oh, how to stop being on the left side. So likely if you are very much on this side, right, my guess would be you do not value very much this side, right? Like when we say words like fun, emotional, extroversion, you probably don't feel like this is that important. You probably don't feel like that's that cool. You probably don't feel like you want those things very much, or probably you even look down on these things. Okay, I know a lot of people who do, and they don't even probably know it, just subconsciously. I can tell because they're like purely on this side, and a lot of it is because they do not value these things at all, and it's just naturally you become more of a one-dimensional person. What you think is cool, like what you think is important, right, will incentivize you to learn certain things. So if you feel like it's important to understand like being emotional and fun and extroversion, then you will naturally on your day-to-day try to seek out things to learn about these things. It has to happen over time. It's like it's not like easy, right? Like the introspective side is like it's very obvious that this is like not easy. You have to put effort in, right? And this is the same. It's actually like you have to actually put effort in to understand. Next time you have conversations with people, you need to like be very aware of like what are they saying, first of all, and what they are trying to say, and like what they are feeling when saying these things, and you know what they are actually trying to convey, and what you personally are feeling, right? Especially if you have more experience, it almost feels like you're manipulating, right? Like if you're trying to explain something, you're like, oh, I do this because I think XYZ. Like you're explaining your own value system, and it almost is like you're trying to say my value system is better than yours, and therefore you should adapt to my system. That is just like such a weird conversation to have with a girlfriend or boyfriend, right? Or partner. Like ideally, you want that to be already on the same spot where what you're trying to discuss is a layer above the value system. Obviously, you're gonna have conflicts, but it'll be conflicts above the value system, which you can change, more like preferences. What value do you look for? I can tell you some. For example, I think nowadays I want this person to be mature. Right? Before, I actually did not care that much about like maturity because, okay, I'll tell you something, chat. Like before, most of my exes on the right side, very fun. They were very fun people and more emotional, more extroverted, and we did have a great time. It would always be a fun time, but it also always ended. And then I had to reflect like what happened. It would usually be because of the lack of introspection. I feel like something is missing. They don't understand like why I'm at Central Park sitting for 4 hours like looking at the tree and just thinking about stuff. No, they're like, what the are you thinking about? I'm like, dude, I'm thinking. Like I can't tell you what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking. I'm still thinking. I'm loading right now. Certain values that cause conflict. Examples of certain values that cause conflict. How much this person values work and fun. Because a person who values fun more, they would naturally want to like go out more. And it's not even just like going out to party, it's just going outside, doing stuff and having fun and all these things. And that's like great, right? But for me, that becomes conflicting because me too, like I want to do that too, right? But then I value my career more. I value work more. And therefore I have to make myself stay. And like, for example, today, I would have loved to like go sit down in Central Park again for 4 hours like I did yesterday, okay? But I chose to stream because I want to stream, you know, because this is like, it's part of my work. I would want my partner to be aligned with me in this aspect, such that it's not just me, I'm always doing work, and like she's just out there like going to a park, going to a party, whatever. There's a conflict there, right? Because then I'd probably feel lonely, and then she would probably feel lonely because like I'm never there for her and she's never there for me. This is like an example, I would say. Hope that makes sense.